It's being videoed, and if you don't want to be videoed, I'm afraid there's no choice. You just have to leave, as they are allowed to. So, no apologies for absences other than the KP and the police, but I think both of those have sent reports to us.
Yes.
Right, minutes then to authorise the signing. We're all happy to approve and authorise them.
Yes.
Can I have Tom, Sarah and Sarah? Can you just have a quick hands up, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, everybody.
Who's the?
Sarah and Sarah.
Sarah.
Yeah.
But you picked for who?
Right, matters arising then, please. Start with Alison.
Have you had any responses to finding a replacement internal auditor?
No, I've not
Still
had
not?
time to
No. Okay.
chase them up. I've got a number of people to contact,
Okay.
referred by other parish clerks.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That was all.
Chris? Paul?
No.
Sarah?
No.
Sarah?
Item 2.2, item 6, are we still in the dark about Cheshire East and any contribution or assistance from HS2?
Yes,
Petition?
we are. I've had an acknowledgement and
That's
nothing
fine,
more.
so they've received it?
They've
That's
received
okay.
it, yeah. What I was just going to mention at 9.3, the Inspection Council trees, I've asked for a quote, or a small quote for that small amount of work, but I've not had one for that. And at 9.8, the grant aid to the Police Commissioner for possible CCTV, the application has gone in, went in at the end of November.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Andrew?
Don't.
No, that's it, thanks. Right, declaration of interests. Is there anybody who'd like to declare any interests? Right, Andrew? No.
No.
Sarah? Paul? Chris? No. No. Okay, none. Right, public forum. We have 15 minutes as usual. You can ask whatever you want, as long as it's on the agenda, and the clerk will make a note of it for further reference. So is there anybody who'd like to start, or is there anybody who wants to ask a question? Yes, go ahead, please. Sorry, one thing. Remember, you've only got 3 minutes per person.
Yeah. Okay, I've just got three points really. The first one regarding agenda item 9.2, that's the parish meeting. Following on from the parish meeting, I hope the council will note the strength of feeling in opposition to the fence and now abandon fence construction. I feel that to move forward with the fence would be throwing good money after bad, and it would be essentially ignoring the residents' opposition. Item 7.2 payments. I was astonished to learn through the payments report that a substantial payment for fence materials have been made since the last council meeting. I do find it concerning that such a large upfront payment of public funds was made in the absence of a contract, and really I just would like to know how and why this was authorised, and should the fence project be abandoned, can the council confirm where the materials are and whether they can be sold to recoup costs. The last item is 7.3 budget and preset. The parish has large earmarked reserves that are not being spent to any significant degree and haven't been for approaching 2 years. The proposal to increase the preset, however small the council may consider the increase to be, is unacceptable in face of this large reserve. The shortfall in budget must be absorbed by the council's reserves. Additionally, budget items could be removed. For example, the broadband proposal for the village hall, which is little used, an unwanted fence, this pole. The pavilion itself, it's an asset, but it's not being used for anything, and the budget for 22-23 seems to show that the council have no intention of hiring it out, whereas it could be used to generate an income rather than being a drain on village resources. And also the village boundary signs, I just query whether we actually need them in light of the shortfall in the budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who... Yes, go on.
Yeah, I'm Andy Fox. I hope you've understood the feeling around the village that the fence isn't popular and that we don't have to go and spend more money on having a pole. I know we've got to do something, and I was hoping that you'd look at embracing the Friends of Pickmere groups that have been started up. These are thousands of people that value the public open spaces and the nature, and they're not just from the parish but from everywhere, and they can help us. And in my opinion, a fence would not achieve anything. On the first war meeting it would become firewood, and it's just letting Cheshire East and the police off the hook. And as soon as you do that, they'll just say, well, they won't come near the place. They need to do their job, and that's the first thing, and that's really what you guys are hopefully going to do. The rest of it you should leave to the public to manage themselves, and hopefully social networks can help in a situation like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm a bit unclear actually, because I was at the last big meeting, and I thought that you were going the way to consider whether or not we were going to have a poll or not, because the poll was going to be quite expensive to do, but we did vote in favour of a poll unless the council come back with another alternative, and I've not heard anything said about that yet.
It's on the agenda though, then.
Is it on the agenda for later?
Yeah, they've been up, so you could have read those out. Anyone else?
Oh, another question then. What's the CCTV for?
Well, that's a question. Again, it's a question. We don't answer questions during this bit. Is there anybody else who'd like to make a point? Right, thank you. We'll move on from there then. On to the report from the police. He obviously sent his apologies, and one of the things we did say to him is that what we were lacking is some feedback on a monthly basis, and when you look at the balance between the fact that we were being told there's nothing, and then we could obviously see there was some statistics out there, and he's come back with a good report on this. And I think we need to realise that this obviously is within the area and not necessarily directly in Pickmere, but it's giving us a good indication of what's going on, and it's really pleasing to see that he's come back with a thorough set of notes, so I'll leave that down to the clerk to read out.
Yeah, I'm simply summarising some of the things he said. They had one or two inquiries because they said they had one report of suspicious activity and they checked it out and the activity was legitimate. The more pertinent points, he said that there were two reports of theft. One was closed with no further action taking place due to no lines of inquiry. Second report is still under investigation with a suspect now identified. He said there were no arrests made in Pickmere during November. They've had no reports of domestic abuse during the month, and there were no calls made to police in respect of burglary, theft of motor vehicles, criminal damage and drug offences. And he also said that local officers are in the process of trying to arrange a mutually beneficial time to arrange a monthly surgery in the new year.
Yeah, he's very keen on getting the surgery in place, which we've made it quite clear we're very keen on getting him to come down and hold the surgery as well. Right, Councillor Parkinson has also sent us a report. She's again unavailable tonight, and sort of thank her for this, and also for the work she's doing behind the scenes to try and support the council and the parish.
She asked us to read out what she said in her email to us. She sent us an email. She says, first, she'd like everyone to understand that she's a member of Cheshire East Council and not an officer. It says, this means I do not have it within my gift to install yellow lines at a moment's notice, take sides on arguments between groups in the village, or stop fences being built. The work I do behind the scenes is unseen. There's a complex network of investigation I have to do to find answers, and sometimes the response is not what people want to hear, but it's important to manage expectations about what can be achieved and what is simply not possible. I could quote again, "I'm extremely disappointed that the village of Pickmere has descended into such disarray. The amount of poor behaviour that I have seen recently and been informed about is disgraceful, and I will not be engaging with this behaviour, not by residents, press or outside parties. Nor will I tolerate abusive emails which I've been subjected to. If you cannot conduct yourself in a respectful manner, the council IT services will block you immediately from any further contact." And then she goes to comment on 2 or 3 of the items that have been raised with her. She spoke to Highways about repainting the other lines, and the answer is effectively that there is no money in Cheshire East budget for that. She's asked that the matter be at the forefront of any grant schemes that Cheshire East may receive. And she suggested that the Parish Council might wish to use its community infrastructure levy payments for this, if it's possible. In respect of parking, she sent requests to the parking service asking what enforcement controls could residents expect if parking restrictions are extended to roads in the village. Could Cheshire East Council parking enforcement prioritise or target the village during popular times? And the answer she received from her officers was that patrols depend on the availability of staff. At the moment, they have a number of vacancies that they are unable to fill. It would be very difficult to predict when officers would be able to patrol Pickmere, as they have to cover the whole of the borough with a finite resource. They have more than one visitor hotspot to cover in addition to Pickmere, which is also only seasonal. Powers cannot be devolved specifically to Pickmere Parish Council to enforce. But if the Parish Council wanted to employ officers who would be trained by Cheshire East, that seems to be a possibility, but all penalty charge income would go back to Cheshire East. And then there are a number of costs associated with training, continuous supervision, appeal administration, etc. And in terms of the estate services, she confirms that the council does not have an interest in the Parish Council's land as an owner or occupier. Normally in an instance like this we refer you to the land registry, as we're not able to give advice about third-party land. She says that she's been in touch with Esther McVeigh's office, and they are sympathetic to residents who have sent in complaints, but they do not have it in their power to do anything about the matter. They will acknowledge emails, but again, after discussing some of the content that's been received, they are now choosing to step away from anything that is unnecessary and derogatory. And then she goes on about the fact that ward councillors and MPs have limited power over matters such as these. And she summarises, "While I can only do so much, I'm continuing to work behind the scenes, finding answers to questions I am asked. But again, not all answers will be what residents expect, and I can only give the council officers official line on matters and advise where appropriate."
Thank you. One of the interesting things, I think, is, certainly from Highways and the parking, is it's actually a repeated message from when I met with them, and certainly when you guys met with them. So, this message is coming back time and time again, that basically they haven't got the resources to do anything. So it's a shame, but again, it's one of those that we have, for the last 3.5 years, pursued, and I think we'll continue to pursue as one of the many options that we're trying it. And I think, I don't know how many times we have to say it to people, but Cheshire East haven't got the resources and don't want to spend the resources on a small area, unfortunately. But that's one of those things that we have to put up with. And as I said, we'll keep pressing, keep going.
Could we note to thank
Yes, I was going to.
for that report though, because that's quite comprehensive.
I have actually sort of sent her an email saying thank you, because I think she has obviously gone into depth with that. And I think
she has.
But if we can send another formal one, just in case it's been read out, and thank you.
Could I just clarify as well what she was saying about yellow lines there, and suggesting we could use some of our resources to do something ourselves? I know we've made no decision on that, but if that were the case, presumably all we could do was reinstate or repaint what currently exists. We couldn't amend or
choose new
extend
sections.
or choose anything other than what currently exists.
And also, I think if I remember rightly, it would actually cost us £500 just to get them to come out and have a look at what needs to be done. before they decided to or not to do anything more.
Yeah.
Didn't they say they have to do their own survey? So
Yeah,
they
that
would
was
wait
fi-
out?
that was the
Yes,
£500.
Yes, and then they run. Well, that's to come and have a look.
Yeah.
Then they have to do their own research. They wouldn't take our research or anecdotal evidence. They would have to come and do their own research to see.
But from what the chairs were saying, is that essentially any yellow lines would be pointless if we don't have a commitment to enforce
To
them.
enforce.
Oh, absolutely.
So anybody paying for them.
So you could put as many yellow lines as you wanted, but without anybody to
So we have to
enforce
get the other to agree at the same time.
them. Well,
I mean, the one thing that the park enforcement team did say is that they are going to look into changing the nature of the parking enforcement. But again, that's something that it's a long drawn out process and will be down on the list. So, but we just keep trying.
so we
That's
asked
all
them how
do.
much private wardens would cost. I know that she says we get no revenue, so we'd just be paying for
Yeah,
the wardens
just-
to come.
Yeah.
And then, can we find out from them what the...
We can ask, but
do
may as
they
well.
know?
May as well.
But it's not just the cost of the wardens, it's
No.
the appeals.
No, I
and,
understand that. Well,
Yeah.
let's find out what
Yeah,
the costs are. Because they said they won't do
Let's ask the
permits.
question.
Yeah, they said they won't do resident permits. They
Well, I
said
think-
that
I know that I looked into permits 5 years ago, and they said they wouldn't. I know that it's been looked into
Kate's looked
since
into it
by
and had it
Kate,
in-
and
supplied
it's
it in
still,
writing.
it's still not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you still got the enforcement issue.
Yeah,
yeah,
That doesn't go
I
away.
forgot, yes, you're right.
You can put whatever you like.
but it
yeah.
all relies on enforcement.